This is Power Athlete Radio. With your hosts, Denny K, Professor Booty, and the Luke Summers. And now, toes forward, hips locked, shoulders set, and retract those scapulars. It's time for some knowledge bombs.
Episode 57, Power Athlete Radio. Thanks for joining us. Hope you had a good Memorial Day. I know I did. We got the Power Athlete coaches, of course. Tex, John, Luke, and Callie. We got the freaking gargantuan Steve Playtech with the wingspan of at least 8 feet. I mean, my God, dude, that video, you could basically tie your shoes standing up.
Whatever, Daddy.
Anyway.
If you could tie your shoes.
You guys, I hope
exactly.
you had a good Memorial Day.
But Denny's still wearing zips.
I mean, we had a lot of shit going on this past weekend. We had John's awesome commentating at the regionals, which we'll get to in a little bit. Tex is going to bring us up to speed on Wade's Army. There's a few ice bath challenges, few call-outs, and there's going to be some kick-ass apparel soon to be posted. I hope it's those badass-looking Power Athlete T-shirts, the red, white, and blue. So, without further ado, let's kick some ass. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
What's up, Daddy?
Recovering from we did Murph at Balboa yesterday, and I just am not built to Murph. Period. So
Shut the sliding glass door.
that was interesting.
Yeah, well, you had an ice bath to kind of help you out for recovery, right?
That's right, man. Got called out, and I stepped up, and now we got that challenge going out to a few people across the country.
Yeah.
I gotta go international.
I didn't see it till this morning when I came in to check Facebook. I try to limit my Facebook exposure to only once a week, so I guess I didn't know how or when it starts, but we'll get it done today after I think we work out. I think we have 1,000 air squats for time, right, Callie? Is that what we're doing today?
You guys should work.
I already went international. Scott Wilson's in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Is he one of your NFL PL buddies?
He did the Boston one, and he followed football for a while, and so we just kind of got in touch offline.
Yeah, I know who he is. He follows the Field Strong stuff. I'm just busting his balls. He sent us a pretty good email, or actually it wasn't the email. He was in the Field Strong forums talking about like his up and downs, and he had a pretty good story about what went down with his combine. So remember, you did make it. He was up and down all around, flew like 18 hours to do this thing. I mean, serious fucking dedication.
Yeah, he's a baller. He snatched 295, and then the last race, he had a clean and jerk 315, missed the clean backwards, fell on his chest. Must have felt good. Yeah.
Oh, the bar, you mean it pinned him, landed on his chest?
Yeah, pinned him.
Wow.
Sounds like fun, huh?
Yeah,
right.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're like Luke with a bird chest, like a little, like kind of like skinny, scrawny chest, it'd be okay.
But I'm a barrel.
But I mean, if
my
like,
back
if like a guy had like a big thick back and like a big strong chest, like a Denny, maybe, he might hurt himself. Might have a collapsed sternum.
So, well, John, let's talk shop about your experience commentating.
Oh yes.
So Denny, did you listen in, and Steve, did you guys listen in much?
Yes, I listened in.
I didn't catch anything.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't either. With the time I tried to get in on, Internet Vision, and every time I logged on, there was like a wait. I had to wait like 20, 30 minutes, and I couldn't do it. I had my hands full here, so I kind of dropped the ball on that one. But I heard he kicked ass.
Denny, what do you have, dial-up?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The line was busy.
Doesn't everybody have dial-up? I mean, is there something better out there?
So, John, what were some of the highlights? I mean, you being on the other end of it, I know that you were getting texts from some of our guys, like Jesse up north, just calling out some of your great one-liners.
Well, I was super fortunate in that Rory McInerney, who did the play-by-play, not only is a extremely witty, funny guy and has a great sense of humor, but is also extremely knowledgeable. So it always helps to have a guy who's extremely knowledgeable and has just a good sense of humor and actually has really good timing. It's really rare to run into people that have good timing. Most people that I've run into, their timing's so bad, I actually think it's on purpose. But Rory's timing was really good. He had a great, vast knowledge of movies. And so we were able to really pull from a lot of different things. Like, obviously you guys picked up the dodgeball references. I kept referring to him. I'm like, OMG, Cotton, you're going to change your shorts. So we got into a lot of stuff and started rolling with it. I mean, he gave me one really big softball, which was, everybody likes to, watch everybody sling around some heavy weights. And at which point he looked at me and I was like, well, everybody loves a big snatch. And at that point, I looked over and the gal who's the red hat, which is kind of our liaison between what's going on in the truck behind us and us. I mean, all of a sudden I watched her and she her face turned and she exploded and started running around in circles. So evidently, I guess that was pretty solid timing. I mean, it came off pretty flawless. So I thought we did well. I really enjoyed it. It was great to see it from a different perspective. Having always been an athlete, to actually sit on the other side and actually do some commentating and talk about, what the athletes are doing, the movements and what you kind of see, and then bring in a little bit of a fresh perspective. Because obviously I didn't learn this stuff from CrossFit. A lot of the guys that are doing the commentating are, 100%, CrossFitters to the bone, and that this is, really this is what they do. This is really their first, their biggest experience with training. Whereas I come at it from a little bit of different kind of point of view, looking at these athletes. I mean, I'm always looking for position and posture and thinking about energy systems and how, what these workouts are tapping into, and more importantly, repetitive movement patterns and, planes of motion. And so I'm looking at these from a super kind of a different perspective, whereas I think everybody looks at it these athletes are competing. Whereas I'm looking for, how are they breaking down? Why are they breaking down? And more importantly, how they design these workouts to force these athletes to break. And I think the people listening at home enjoyed it because there's probably just a little bit of different commentary. And one guy was pretty hilarious. He was like, it's probably the first time I've heard somebody commentating on a CrossFit event talking about different energy systems that are being tapped into in the different workouts. And I was like, well, you obviously don't listen to Power Athlete Radio very much, or talk to me, Johnny, if that's, something that you're unfamiliar with. So I thought it was good. I like to, it was really fun to get to know a lot of the athletes. I got a chance to hang out with Dan Bailey and Josh Bridges and also Matt Chan, and just super solid guys, hard workers, good sense of humor, really funny. I always look to kind of try to keep light of it. I mean, people at the end of the day, man, the best people always can, have a sense of humor and take a step back and laugh about this stuff. I mean, whereas other people are treating it like they're going in for brain surgery. And what was good about those guys is they had a good sense of humor and they were able to keep it light, and I enjoyed interacting with them.
Did they talk at all about the event and the workouts?
Oh yeah, I was busting Bridges' balls about doing air squats. I'm like, really? You're 5'5". Pistols and fucking squats, you should win this. Now I was like, if on the sprint rope climb, if he did the same move that black guy did at the was it Elijah Muhammad or whatever the guy's name, where he was basically sprinting, taking a step and jumping with one pull. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it. I heard about it though.
Yeah, there was I think I can't remember. I want to say Elijah Muhammad, but that's probably wrong on the guy's name. But he 6'3", obviously had a great vertical jump. He was coming back off the sprint, taking 2 or 3 steps, jumping with one hand, catching the rope and slapping the top off.
Jesus.
I mean, that rope was at 14 feet, and the guy's probably able to dunk a basketball. So, I mean, the guy was jumping 10, 6, 11 feet, catching the rope one hand and going up and closing the gap and then just falling down. I mean, it was super impressive. So when I was joking with Bridges, I was like, now, if you did that, I would be impressed.
Yeah.
So I was in the back trying to offer him. I'm like, man, we got to find some like gummy berry juice around here. We're going fucking gummy bear style. You remember? Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. So I was busting his ass on that, but he was pretty funny. I mean, he's like, yeah, dude, I make pistols and fucking squats. I mean, that's my wheelhouse in point five. But the thing which I appreciate, it doesn't matter, what the sport is, whether it's professional football, whatever. I always appreciate watching people's preparation going into the event, how they deal with adversity and the kind of the drama of the whole deal. And really, I mean, it doesn't matter what sport it is, whether, you're competing, there's always going to be some adversity. There's always going to be some drama. And there's kind of an interesting twist with CrossFit in that you're judging the standard of the reps. So there's so much chance for human error. There's so much chance for interaction, like for example, and we were talking about it today. I mean, it's so difficult, for example, on a rope climb to judge, I'm standing at the bottom looking up. This athlete is going up this rope that's 14 feet in the air. I mean, can I really see them slap the cross member? I mean, it's like sitting there as a spectator. I mean, in football, there's, and I don't know if you guys know this, but there's 2 cameras on every single person of value in an NFL game. So there's obviously 22 players on the field at any one time. Each of those players, every player has 2 cameras on them at all times. So like, that's why when you see these replays where they're like, oh, there was a penalty. And then next thing you know, you look back and there's like the camera showing the offensive lineman's hand totally on him. And you're like, oh my God, how did they know that guy was going to hold? And people used to say it and they'd be like, man, that was incredible. Or like, the foot. It's because every person of value has 2 cameras on them. So in these situations, and like you can see as an NFL game, there's like cameras on strings and it's crazy. I mean, to the point now, like they have so many cameras in the NFL stadiums that they can actually digitalize and show you 360s. Like, like all of a sudden they show the field and they go like 360 around and they're doing all this. It's because they have so many cameras that they're able to cover it from every angle. And they're able to bring those into this technology. And I remember they were developing that technology and testing it when I was playing, and now it's really pretty amazing. But I think with CrossFit, that ability to really like go back and look at the judging, I mean, they just don't have the ability to do it yet. And so I think with that, you're going to get people that are going to get missed reps, and they're going to have people that aren't going to get counted and here and there. And I think that's where like the crux becomes of it. And it's unfortunate when athletes miss the games that, due to a human error or somebody makes it when they shouldn't. But I think for the most part, those, the judges did an incredible job. And I think the athletes went out there and busted their ass. And I know people, think it's, CrossFit's stupid, it's fucking a waste of time, but
it's legit. That whole production is,
just the fact that people are willing to go out there and put themselves into this situation, like, hey, I'm going to show up in the middle of somewhere and I'm going to fucking allow myself to be put into this meat grinder for 3 days and come out at the very end. I mean, it's impressive. And the amount of work and effort those guys put forth, I was impressed.
And the crowd was roaring as well. I mean, we were stuck outside and I didn't get much chance to get into the stadium, but
I thought they were cheering for me, but
well, everybody usually does.
I was confused.
I mean, the crowd's into it, which is, so I had kind of an interesting kind of epiphany a little bit on camera, in that there's very few sports, and the only one I could really think of is golf, where the people are there, like in this, like you obviously go to like I don't know if you guys have ever gone to any like open or anything with the golf or seen it on TV. All those people that are fans, every one of them is a golfer. That's why they're there.
Oh yeah.
Right. I go to the driving range 3 days a week. I hit with a pro. I work, and you're watching Tiger Woods, or whoever, Phil Mickelson line up, and all of a sudden here they are. They hit this perfect swing, perfect shot, whoosh, and they drop it like 3 inches from the pin. What the people standing there watching are looking at is like, I do this as much as I can. This is my passion. And these people are able to do something that is so far outside of the realm of possible for me without like luck shining on my ass. Cause personally, I So my experience with golf was my rookie year. I got invited to play in all these golf tournaments. I really sucked. I went and took a bunch of lessons, played the whole off season, actually got pretty good where I could shoot in like the low 90s. And then the season started and I didn't play any golf. And then the first day of the season, I went out and played and shot like 150. And I literally broke my club and I've never picked up a club since then. But when you go look at like a golf, like all of those people are golfers and like that's why they're there. They want to be in the presence of greatness. Now, CrossFit is similar in that everybody in the stands is a CrossFitter. So I do this training. I train at this gym. I know what these workouts are. I've done pistols. I've done this. I've done pull-ups. And they're out there similar, cheering on people. And they're living and dying with these athletes because they've done these workouts.
Because they know how hard it is.
Yeah, and they know how hard it is.
They know how much skill is involved and how much torture.
Well, it's like Nasty Girls, for example. Like a sub-10, like I remember when the original, Nasty Girls was really my first introduction to CrossFit. I saw the video of Annie, Nicole, and Eva doing Nasty Girls, and it was impressive. I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. But like a sub 10-minute Nasty Girls is a phenomenal time. These guys were doing Nasty Girls 2.0 with pistols instead of air squats, and we're doing it in like 7 and 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, just mentally, I'm sitting there looking at it. It's like, all of a sudden you see these guys do these workouts. The one workout they had, which was at 50s, was I'm the only one that calculated it, which is hysterical. Like, because when I kept saying it on film, people are like, man, I never thought about it like that. I'm like, it's 450 reps. It's 9 stations of 50 reps. It's 450. And they got to do it in 21 minutes, which is 660 seconds. You do the math. Mm-hmm. Like they got a rep. And these guys were almost finishing that workout. There were people that finished that workout. Like that to me is these guys were moving, wall balls. All of these different movements. We're able to do that many reps in that little time. So it was impressive to see, but that's what really was the epiphany for me is that CrossFit's different other than maybe golf. And the only other thing I could really think of is NASCAR. People go to NASCAR obviously for the element of the danger, but every single person that's ever got behind the wheel of their car and stomped their foot with their right, stomped on the pedal on the right and screamed, boy, you got the balls, pass me on the outside, and things are cold trickle, right? Like I love watching NASCAR, and I got a chance to do all that NASCAR driving experiences, and it was great. And I
get a chance to experience it firsthand anytime Luke's driving the van.
I drive fast. I'm in a hurry.
But who's a better driver? I'm a better driver. Callie's like the only one I've ever seen drift a van is John.
No. See, John, you don't actually drive. You're just behind the wheel while you're working.
Yeah, exactly. Neither of you guys actually drive. You're just watching a movie, texting, and simultaneously on the phone.
Well, my brain works more efficiently than your guys, so I can do more. It's science. I've proved it. So, like, that was really, really enlightening. Whereas, in contrast, in the NFL, you have these fat, greasy, douchebag armchair quarterbacks that sit there and scream while they're stuffing hot dogs in your mouth. That guy fucking sucks. And then they get on a blog, and the guy's only experience of playing football is like his turkey bowl flag football game on Thanksgiving, and yet he's a fucking expert.
He's elite.
Right? So it's like it's such a different dynamic where guys are obviously scream and yell, and that guy's fucking a bum. Little do they know that there's an offensive coordinator calling the plays. There's all these other extraneous factors that go into the end product that these guys never see. Whereas with CrossFit, it's like, here's the workout. Can you do it? 3, 2, 1, go. I've done this workout, and this guy's crushing me. So, that's really what I liked about the game or the CrossFit deal. I thought that was what was exciting, and having kind of be a little behind the scenes and on the media side and really, doing the commentating was exciting. And I got to kind of see the drama and really watch these athletes and how they kind of fought through it. And it was interesting to see some people, how they're, for example, in the team event, the team from Brick CrossFit dominated the entire weekend. And then all of a sudden they get into the very last event, and their team captain, last guy's name's Perlmutter, who's, a pretty good CrossFitter, comes out and he gets, he's a solid CrossFitter, misses gets called short on a bunch of overhead squats. So it wasn't getting below parallel. And like once that happened, you could see the fatigue. He couldn't get the bar into position. He couldn't lock his shoulders. And
it probably
took him like 14 minutes to get the stuff.
Ugh.
And like the other teams are trying to work through 6 people. Other people are like at like their 5th person. He's still fighting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like these guys, like the race was so close at a bad finish, and these guys wouldn't have gone it. And they kicked ass the entire time. So finally he gets done, and they have 3 girls on the brick team that are just fucking uber badasses. I mean, they're all like former gymnasts. I mean, they all look like Olympic sprinters, every one of them. Those girls got out there and absolutely
crush it,
blew it out. Like dude, the speed at which these girls were doing pull-ups was unreal. Like I was watching these girls, like they all of a sudden saw this and were like, we got to make it up.
Yeah.
Those girls fucking hammered it, carried that team. They crossed the line, and they were like 1 point ahead in 3rd place. So they were like kicking ass in 1st. One bad stumble, and the guy, like, it was one of those deals where he just like got shorted on a few reps.
You think it was mental? You think just like,
well, it's you know, and you guys know this. CrossFit is extremely mental, especially like it. Let me take a step back. Like CrossFit's mental, and that you have to be mentally able to do this stuff. But it's also different when you mentally, hey, this is what I know I can do. But then all of a sudden, as I'm going to do it, somebody says no rep.
Well, yeah, it comes down to expectation. You have an expectation of yourself going into a workout based on things that you know about your body, like your the performance biomarkers, performances you've done in the past. Okay, here's what I'm gearing up for. And then if in a competition some variable occurs and like a judge starts no repping you when this is a movement pattern you've done over and over and over again in training, you have an expectation of yourself to perform a certain way, then it can totally fuck you up.
Well, yeah, I mean, then you got to take that time, you got to recoup, and this is really where confidence and like mental preparation, having been there before, goes into play. I mean, it's like
sports psychology, the ability to bounce back from a negative performance, like whether it's a missed layup or something. I mean, that's ultimately what separates good athletes from like elite or great athletes, and that's been proven time and time again by sports psychologists. I
don't know if I ever told you guys the story, but we went to go play the Indianapolis Colts in the first round of the playoffs. I want to say it was like in 06 or 07. And Willie Rofe had gotten hurt. He was our left tackle, and our backup left tackle, pretty solid, good young player, kind of moving into the game. And all week in film, and if, he had to watch Dwight Freeney all week in film. And, those of you guys know what Freeney's nickname is, which is Fright Night. And the reason they call Freeney Fright Night was that if you let things like if he gets a little confidence and he gets up on you, he becomes your worst nightmare. And we saw it time and time again. So we go out and we're playing Indianapolis first round of the playoffs at home. And, Friday night plays on turf. He's fast, he's agile, crowd noise, all these key factors play into it. And I remember walking out there to, go out to pregame and coming back in and then getting ready. And, we were in the tunnel ready to run out the gate. And this guy looks at me and he kind of turns and was like, Dwight Freeney's just a man. He's just a man, right? I mean, like, how good could he be? And I don't know if you guys ever saw the scene from Gladiator before he went running out there and like the guy like basically pissed himself and he takes a big step away from him. I just took a large step away from him. And I was like, dude, if you're ready to run out in the tunnel and you're all of a sudden questioning like, well, how good could somebody really be?
You're going to get stomped.
And he ended up having a bad day that day, to say the least.
He died on the field that day.
Yeah, but like that's what happens. And like, we saw it like, that ability to persevere through it, I mean, becomes a real factor. I mean, part of the thing too, and this is where this becomes difficult, is certain athletes like obviously get no repped, and you just have to look at it and say, everybody's going to get no repped.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the position that even if I get no repped, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah, that's what amazed me. I saw some people just like pause and question it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's 10 seconds.
That's so ridiculous.
Like Josh Bridges, for example, he on that last workout, the 64 and 8, in training, he had done 64 pull-ups in a row.
Mhm.
So he went into it and he's like, I'm going to do a like set of like 50, 52. I'm going to shake out my hands. I'm going to do 10 and I'm going to go. So he said he was counting and he came off the bar at 52 and the judge said to him, 42, 22 more to go.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he looked at her and was like, shit, and jumped back on the bar and he busted out 22 more.
Nice. That's what
And
you
then
should
came
do.
off.
Because you can't do anything at that point, you know?
Yeah. And so he's like, she miscounted him by 10 reps. And he's like, I knew how long I had done it in a minute 30. Like all of a sudden, he's like, I was up there and I knew exactly how many reps I was doing. I knew exactly where I was at. And she called him off. And the dude was like, just rolled. I mean, same happened to Dan Bailey, Dan Bailey is not only a physically impressive specimen of a human, but the fucking guy has got a motor. And he got in that last event and he struggled with his overhead squats. And the overhead squats were only 205 pounds. Mm-hmm. But what becomes, more precedent is look how much work these guys have done.
Yeah.
Already.
I mean, 205 pounds. Like, oh yeah, I just squat over 205 pounds per set of 8. No problem. But then you remember like 3 days of training. So seeing like the volume that these guys had done going into it and seeing how like the drama kind of played out to me was not only pretty exciting, was pretty fun, but I was excited to kind of be a part of it. And I really actually enjoyed watching it. I don't know, like sitting in the stands, if I was like, would have that same kind of interaction, but being kind of involved in the media side and then getting to talk through it and really seeing the guys and watching it and being kind of
Listen to you. I love it. You're going to get your Fran time tattooed somewhere on your body.
No, I just,
it's good.
Well, no, I think going into whatever you're going to do, whether, especially whether it's like, you got to go in and portray this stuff. What I appreciate, you guys know this about me, is I appreciate human movement and I really appreciate good movers. Like there were some really, really good movers. Like there were some people that I would have gladly walked over and been like, would you like to come train in my gym? Have you ever thought about being on the CrossFit football staff?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a girl, Nami Nielsen. She trains at Brick. Dude, that girl was so aesthetically pleasing to watch. Mm-hmm. Everything she did, like her body position, everything she did looked really nice. And I remember watching her do it and was like, that girl's super athletic.
Yeah.
And she was a former gymnast, dance instructor. I mean, really moved well. Now, obviously, didn't have like the same motor and wasn't able, even though she hammered, obviously didn't make it, but like just aesthetically pleasing. Val Bobel, extremely aesthetically pleasing, Becca Boyd, really nice. I mean, all these girls, Lindsay Valenzuela, they all move really well. And I think what I appreciate is human movement. I like watching athletes do things that are athletic and move and run and change direction. Mm-hmm. Now I wish selfishly I got to design the workouts.
Yeah. What would be a workout you put down?
Oh God.
I would definitely have change of direction. I would love to see athletes change direction. I mean, to me, my favorite event, and I was busting fucking Chan's balls on this one, was my favorite event thus far in any CrossFit Games was a zigzag run.
Yes.
And I said that to Chan, and Dan Bailey won. Chan finished second to last behind Kalipa, or just right in front of Kalipa. And I said it to him. Chan rolled his eyes. He's like, fucking, of course you'd say that's the one I was the worst at. I was like, dude, it's not my fault. And then I told him, I was like, if you came to the CrossFit football seminar, I guarantee we could show you how to change direction and at least give you things to work on. And he's like, great, I'll come. So I'm like, great, let's get you to CrossFit football seminar.
Nothing like a foot race gives me the most pleasure in the world. When that event was announced, I have goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's the best.
Oh yeah. I mean, the other one I really enjoyed is watching the hang 1RM snatch.
Yeah.
Just watching like those people get it into position and then like really seeing who's an Olympic lifter and who just Olympic lifts.
Yeah.
I always go back to what Todd Rice said to me. There's two types of people. There's people that Olympic lift and there's Olympic lifters. Be an Olympic lifter, address the bar, know what it is, know how to get underneath it, understand that second and third pull, really how to get into it. So watching those guys lift, you could see who put in the time and who was just trying to muscle it. I mean, some of the girls and some of the guys were really, really skilled and they looked great. And dude, a guy hang snatch 295 pounds. It's a pretty solid lift for a guy that's not a Olympic lifter.
That's sick.
Coming from the hang. And the girls, a lot of the girls, I mean, there was one girl that bombed all three of her lifts and didn't get a score. And from the first event, came as the number 3 overall in the open. Comes in, bombs all 3 lifts, instantly first workout, out of it. No chance.
Oh my God.
And
yeah, of course.
And she
continued to compete.
Well, she continued, and I guess at one point, like we were in the back, she didn't want to go on. She's like, I'm just going to leave, and the people talked her into staying, and she put in like some pretty good performances.
What was her limiting factor on the lift? Was it just?
I think
she came out too heavy.
I wasn't in the warm up, but what was surprising is whatever you do in the warm up room, take off 10 pounds.
Yeah.
So if I snatch 300 pounds, I'm going to open up with 290.
You got to do something confidence.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think Josh Bridges was like hit 235 in the warm up, started at 225, got one at least in the tank, and then you know what? Take that second and third lift to see what you can get to that.
I wonder how so she was third in the open in the region, and then she came in and bombed. Like, did she do? You said she didn't do well in the other workout as well after that, right?
She struggled in some, but she did great in the others.
Do you think there's some is there any suspect? Like judging or anything?
Well,
like
I mean, who knows? I mean, at this level, you have to film all of your opens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's really not like, hey, I'm going to magically do this in my basement and show up. So, I don't know, but I think to at least that opening workout, what I got was that nerves got the best of her. That all of a sudden she got into a situation where, nerves got the best of her. She was, who knows? She came out, she probably warmed up, hit something, and then all of a sudden got into a situation where she couldn't hit it. And I think that becomes huge in the confidence. And you know what? I'm not as familiar really dealing with female athletes, obviously, because I didn't ever train with them. And, playing football, we never had any, girl athletes around us. And really the only girl athlete that I trained with was Abby Wambach from U.S. Soccer. And Abby is a pretty stout chick. So, really seeing what the drama of it unfold. I mean, it was cool. And you know what? The other thing too, which I really did appreciate, and what's been cool about this CrossFit thing, is that, if you guys have been to the seminar or heard me speak, whenever people ask me, why I work in CrossFit and kind of what the big association was, it really came down to this fact that CrossFit is helping redefine female expectations and her female image. I always ask girls at the seminars, I'm always like, so what was the standard girl diet before CrossFit, before you got into CrossFit?
Rice cakes.
It was rice cakes, bagels, smoothie, high carb, low fat, low protein. What did your training look like? 5-10 pound weights, lots of reps, spin bike and shit. And now you have a situation where girls are eating a higher fat, higher protein, smart to moderate carb diet. They're lifting heavy weights, they're running, they're sprinting, they're training like athletes. And, pulling, pushing, I mean, all of the things that I'd done my whole life. And believe me, I feel much happier about bringing my daughters, and my girls got to come and see it. And they were pretty excited. My wife brought them, and the whole time they were there, all they wanted to do was practice their box jumps up and down on the stairs. So the girls, they were watching the guy, everybody do the box overs, the 50s, and all they wanted to do is box jumps. So all we've been working on is box jumps for the last 2 days. So, I mean, for me as a father, I bring my daughters to this, and I actually see it, and I feel better about this kind of influence than, say, something like a beauty pageant, where it's you have, who's the Mommy Moo or
waif of a person.
No, but like the pageant or some of this other bullshit. To me, at least, I see what the mindset for the female athlete is, and I feel much happier about that. It was cool. I mean, I got to see, Kate and I were there. We got to see Erin Cafaro, 2-time Olympian in row, and she knows my little girls, and you get to see all these people around it. There's a lot of everybody's friendly. People are going up and happy to see the kids, and so to me, it's a better environment than. Sure. A lot of. I mean, there's fucking worse places we could be.
Yeah.
I think, and from a female standpoint, I think what it really does too is, like you said, the female mindset of the athletes. It's not different from a male mindset. It really isn't. And I think for so long people thought women had a different mindset going into sports or something. And I think some of that is perpetuated. Some of it could be women can be influenced in one way or the other with how they approach sports or weight training or something. But, you know, if all things existed in a vacuum, I mean, we really just have, it's all the same. And now things are becoming a lot level of a playing field. And so, and the opportunity exists there for us to lift weights and do things like that without any.
Well, it's like my wife is pretty funny in that her mom, I think when she was young, told her that like a girl knew she was in good shape when her legs didn't touch. Right. And
people still have that as like a goal at our gym, which is weird. They write it on the goal board.
But like and it's funny because you know, like I always joke that, you know, like you girls have the same problem I have where I wear out pants because my legs rub together, and Chelsea's like, oh yeah, I wear out all my pants. I'm like, well, that's because you got huge thighs.
Yeah.
She's like, thanks. And you know what? Like, to me, I'd much rather have my girls banging heavy weights, training like athletes. You know, and like looking at like the girls that are there, like, you know, the girls have abs, they're muscular, they're strong, and they're actually doing something physical and athletic. To me, that's a lot more rewarding than like doing like a fitness pageant or a lot of this other, you know, kind of more like, hey, look at me aesthetics. Like they're actually using.
They're performing. It's like it's just they're performing. They're using their body. And
you know, and then also a lot of the girls, I got a chance to talk to a lot of the female competitors. Every one of them was some form of Division I athlete before this. Like the girls from Brick were gymnasts. Mm-hmm. One of the girls was a heptathlete. Another girl was a pole vaulter. Another girl was a gymnast. That Nami girl was a dance instructor. And I mean, if she's listening, dude, hit us up. She was unbelievable mover. Every one of these girls I looked at, Linz Valenzuela was a volleyball player, Becca Boyd. I mean, every one of these girls had some, I think Valley Bobo was a gymnast. I mean, every one of these girls has a solid athletic background. And then it's kind of like for guys, like, okay, so I stopped playing football. Now what do I do? Go do a triathlon? Like what is it? And if you look at a lot of the guys that are pretty good CrossFitters, like I talked to that Wayne Willett, he was like a former bodybuilder, football player, and got into it. Most of the guys come from something like track. You know, Josh Bridges, obviously Navy SEAL, but Dan Bailey was a track guy. I mean, it was cool to see that every one of these guys had some athletic background that brought him there. The only one, Lauren Fisher, started CrossFitting at 12. Mm-hmm. She's 20 now. But I mean, and you watch that girl, really good mover, super strong, really proficient with the lifts, and who's 20 years old and she gets to go compete at the game. So super impressive. But yeah, I'm just happy to see good movement. And the other thing, you know, because you always hear people shit talk CrossFit about, oh, it's crappy standards, people move like shit, everybody does these things, they're walking in the gym and hurting. It's nice to see people out there moving well, aesthetically pleasing. So that's my soapbox. So anybody that follows the Field Strong and has been around me knows that, like, I fucking hate shitty movement. Yeah. That everything we do is about prepping movement patterns and primal movements and breaking things down. And like, can you do it aesthetically pleasing? Do you do it well? I mean, you see me write all the time, like, I don't give a fuck what you lift. I don't care what the numbers are. I just want you to do whatever you're doing and do it well and be better today than you were yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I was happy to see that this weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, I tuned in for maybe 20 seconds from the tent, or 20 minutes, like each day, just kind of check up when there'd be a
to see if we got fired.
Yeah, well, no, see if you were place, but I think we've talked about this as well. Like watching the females is much more impressive than the guys. I don't know why it is. Maybe it is because it's just better or more graceful movement rather than just muscling through it. But there's definitely a change over in the past. I mean, over the evolution, I guess, of the CrossFit Games or regionals and everything like that, where quality movement is the scalable factor. Like if you were not a good mover, you cannot progress your fitness or however you want to define it.
Well, so much became
compete at that level.
In my commentary, and I don't know if people picked up on it, but what I kept talking about was efficiency of movement.
Yeah.
What I was looking for was, are you moving from point A to point B in the most efficient manner? Because everybody's good, everybody's in good shape, everybody's competing, but the person that's able to do it better is actually the people that have the least wasted movement. And the people that have the least wasted movement that are able to do it efficient are usually doing it the most aesthetically pleasing way. Like you watch Rich Froning, no wasted movement.
Right.
Everything he does is, straight lines, and he's able to go so fast because there's no wasted bullshit. Mm-hmm. Whereas then you look at a guy like Jason Khalipa who has less efficient movement.
Yeah.
But the guy has so much motor. He's like, I know I'm going to get no rep. I'm just going to keep fucking going.
Yeah.
And the guy's just like, so I always joke and call that the Prefontaine mentality, where it's like, it's going to take a suicide pace and today's a good day to die. And I appreciate that mentality too. But so much of this becomes efficiency of movement. And then you start watching, and I look at everything from like these different, energy systems. And really, the one that was really blowing me away was the isometric hold, the ability to hold the shoulder in a locked position on that overhead squat, because this thing was basically bodyweight movements and Ole movements this entire weekend. Like pairing up like pull-ups and overhead squats. And it wasn't that anybody's legs were necessarily fatigued, because all these people, everybody there is, good squatter. It was that isometric hold, that static hold position, that ability to lock that shoulder into a good position to be able to drive the weight up and down became the limiting factors. And so for me, I'm always, as you guys know, I always look for limiting factors. How do you address limiting factors and then create the, kind of strengthen those different pieces? And so much of what we've done with Field Strong is going back with the iso stability and the warm-ups and all the extra credit and all the little things we do. All those little things become the sum of the parts. And the next thing you know, the athletes are crushing stuff. I mean, if you follow the Field Strong program, you look at the comments, it's like, I couldn't do this 6 weeks ago. I can do this. And now here are the results in my numbers. And I'm like, well, the program is designed for me to expose weaknesses and then use those, me shining a light on them, use that same light to allow you to progress and build. And seeing something like watching these athletes, selfishly, I started taking notes for every athlete that I saw and being like, here's their limiting factors. This is where I see them breaking. This is what they need to work on. And I would have, if I could have, I would have loved to walk up and hand them a little report card and being like, this is what you did really well. And this is what you need to work on. And you can tell me to go fuck myself, but I think I'm pretty good at human movement. And I think I understand how to train athletes. And I'm just telling you this.
Yeah.
And, that I don't know if it would have been inappropriate or what, so I didn't do it. But a lot of these athletes, I would have loved to have handed them a little scorecard and been like, I think you did this great. You're incredible at this, but this is really where you're minimizing.
Do you think it was most of it, biggest or most common limiting factors, overhead stability?
Well,
it never is with women. It almost never is.
Well, everything you can do in CrossFit, and I made the comment, everything in this event you could do in a doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Every movement was done in the doorway. So me looking at it and being like, if everything I know is done in the doorway, obviously I got to be strong in that sagittal plane. But then everything is, like there was a ton of pulls. And actually, Castor, I made the comment about this whole deal was very pull centric. And Dave listened to it and he came over to me. He's like, I got a point of contention. Everything's not pull. I'm like, that's true. There was obviously pushes in it. But if you look at the ratio of push to pulls, it was extremely pull centric. Mm-hmm. And these guys' hands, from all the Ole movements, the pull ups, the ropes, everything they were doing, was extremely pull centric. So obviously the grip was fried, the shoulders were fried because, that we always talk about cooking that same movement pattern, that kind of shoulder overhead, whether it's a pull up, a press, a jerk, no matter what it is, handstand push ups, rope climbs, everything's overhead. The bigger difference becomes though, everybody's strong, but there's no way to replicate that level of exposure without doing the regionals. Mm-hmm. Like, where am I going to come in and do 7 workouts in 3 days at that intensity?
Right.
So you almost have to look at it as an athlete and be like, here's the deal. I'm looking at these 7 workouts. These 4 workouts are my wheelhouse. These 3 workouts are not my wheelhouse. The ones that are in my wheelhouse, I got to win. Yeah. The other ones, I just got to be consistent. And as long as I don't have an implosion, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. And I think like being very realistic with yourself and gaming it. Watching Becca Voigt, just so consistent, like so good, like didn't let anybody get in front of her, stayed where she needed to, went hard when she wouldn't, leapfrogged it. And I think like, she's going to her 7th CrossFit Games. Obviously she knows, she's been there before and she knows what she needs to do to get there. And then Val Bobel too. So it was cool to see. I would definitely, it's always cool to see where athletes break down and see what they need to work on. And then almost like hand them a little report card and be like, man, you do this great. All you got to do is fix this. And I think you're fine. But then the other part becomes, how do you train for that amount of volume? You can't. Like, it's next to impossible. So you have to be able to do a solid, you have to be able to do a solid amount of volume. You got to be able to train. You got to put in your multiple workouts a day. And then when it comes game time, you just got to hope you have that extra switch. So.
As opposed to, so Steve, like doing your research and prepping for the NPFL, that's going to be kind of a shared volume approach, right? So they're going to go kind of a different route with it.
Yeah, I think in the NPFL it's different because even as a team, in the regionals, you're not doing those longer workouts, those longer sessions. It's basically it's the fast metabolic pathways. You just go balls to the wall, and then you tag out, and then you get a rest. I think for the NPFL, it's more about within a 2-hour window how well you can recover between multiple workouts. So the volume is less. I think the intensity is just higher.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting
for each individual athlete. Yeah.
But that's how this just one event is planned. I'm sure they'll mix it up and, keep it changing for the NFBL.
No, I think everything is going to be all the 2-hour events are going to be pretty much the same. So you're going to have 11 workouts in 2 hours, and they're all going to be, to fit 11 workouts in 2 hours, they've got to be short duration and intense, fast recovery. When I first did it, the first thing that came to mind when I was watching the other teams go was this is what we learned about in CrossFit football. This is basically 4 to 6 minute workouts, hard, heavy, and fast, except you get the option to tag out if you hit the red line. And I think that's kind of the goal, is to get to the right before the red line tag so the next person can get right before the red line so that it moves as quickly as possible. In other words, the difference between, I think, a CrossFit workout, a typical CrossFit workout, certainly not that last workout, the pull-ups and overhead squat, I love that workout, is that there is no pacing. There's no, you can't, if you pace, then you lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be legit to see how that whole thing pans out.
You pace, you die.
Yeah, you pace, you die.
Yeah, I do. I think anytime you give people the opportunity to compete and train and something bigger, we've, the reason that our trademark on this website is what are you training for, and why we've, and since other people have tried to steal it from us, but they're fucking douchebags. The reason we have what are you training for is because, what drives you, what motivates you. Now, if, we have people all the time, I just want to be a better athlete, I want to be healthy, I want to be this. Well, that's a real goal. Telling me like, I don't know what I'm training for. Well, then how do I design a program from somebody that is so fucking wishy-washy? Mm-hmm. With the Field Strong stuff, it's like, it was funny. I saw one of the kids and it's like, oh man, I really like, can you get through Field Strong? If you're complaining about the fucking length of Field Strong and how hard and that it's difficult and this and that, how the fuck are you going to progress into something with the big monkey? Mm-hmm. And then what? And then we're programming something that's just going to fucking implode people. At the end of the day, it's like, as soon as, we'll probably put that out after the games just because it doesn't make sense to have people start it now.
Right.
But it becomes like what we're really teaching in the Field Strong is we're giving you a set of movements, a set of planes of motion. We're breaking the training into this kind of primal movement patterns and then showing you different ways to stress them so that you can address your own weaknesses and fix them. And then we're stacking it with strength training, sprinting, running, all these different conditioning modalities to actually give you a complete strength conditioning program like we would train a professional athletes. But yeah, it was actually Joaquin was pretty funny. He's like, oh, I want to try that. And he's actually doing the Force program.
Yeah. He's getting blasted.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, if you can't make it out of that Force, Big Monkey's going to have fucking go balls deep on you. It's going to go full Hinzman. Oh, wait, hold on. We can't joke and fuck around too much. People are unhappy about that.
It's not talking over one another.
That's kind of bad for just the two biggest complaints.
Yeah.
That we talk over each other, or that we talk.
You sound like you're talking from your bathroom.
It does sound like you're talking from your bathroom.
Yeah, Danny's like, yeah, I'm sitting here talking the Power Athlete podcast from the shit house.
Callie's balls deep and Denny's taking a shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Denny's totally in the shit house right now. He's like, yo, does it sound like I'm in the bathroom?
Why? What happened?
I hope no one knows.
He's like, wait a minute. Here, give me my hand. I got to bear down on this sucker. We'll get through this.
We're cutting all of this. Everything that started with balls deep.
I'm just going to cut the first hour. And start with balls deep.
But I will publicly say that the crew from Power Athlete HQ with Callie and Luke and Levi and Chelsea and everybody, they kicked ass this weekend.
Everybody.
Yeah. Oh, and Tex. Even though I didn't get to see Tex, but I know Tex to be kind of a lazy kid, so I imagine a lot of laying around, not selling anything. Obviously going out on a lot of expensive lunches.
How much do you think Tex was combing his hair in that booth? Did you see his hair in that booth?
Oh, it looked filthy.
What's going on with that thing? I should talk.
I mean, you look like so I've been watching this show. It's like Alaska Degenerates or something.
That is not.
No, what is it? It's like Alaska, like Out of Bounds. It's like this family that lives like somewhere in Alaska and they refuse to be constrained. You look like one of the family members.
Don't constrain me, John.
Thank you.
Or the Russian Yeti. That's the other one you look like. They keep showing pictures of the Russian Yeti. I'm like, yeah, he's in Newport Beach. His name's Luke Summers.
That's just like your opinion, man.
Luke's wearing a bathrobe.
I don't understand like the whole hair. Like what's like even your hair is getting a little bit long.
Well, it's just because I haven't got a haircut. But
obviously, no shit.
Well, yeah. But actually, it's not like I'm
longer.
Yeah, I don't understand though. Like, what's going on? Like, everyone's in a hair competition.
Well, but Tex's hair is just getting long on top, like straight up, like 8th grade, like 1986, like Cindy Mancini style. I mean, like seriously, Tex starting to look like Pat Dempsey in Can't Buy Me Love.
Which is an excellent movie.
Oh, unbelievable.
I'm going to take it as a compliment because I have no idea what you're talking about.
But I did get Tex's expenses. I'm like $475 on paleo meals. How much does that Bobby guy eat?
We were living off of, I had 3 Quest bars and a Kill Cliff.
Yeah, just 3 Quest bars a day. And then I'd throw it up and re-eat it again like my dog.
I was drinking Kill Cliffs and eating Oh My bars.
Oh my! Oh, we didn't find the Oh My.
Someone was telling us. Was it you?
They sucked. We hated them. I ate like 75 of those things.
So we do. Murray Daniel says that we should do some.
Oh my God! Shut
and I think
the
that
fuck
maybe
up.
We should put that out to Power Athlete Nation and do like a T-shirt competition.
Anybody that will design.
Terrible.
If you need a picture, any good kind of pictures of Callie, we can digitalize.
Yeah.
I mean.
I'm in hell.
No, this will be fine.
It'll be great.
Okay.
I'm imagining it either has to be the color of Callie's tank top or the color of my shoelaces.
Yeah. It's got to be bright.
Yes, it's got to be bright. Yeah, maybe bright with like a big like purple writing, balls deep, and then that's with a Z.
Obviously. Yeah. So it's not too lewd.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah.
This is
all right. Let's shift gears and then wrap it up because hopefully we go get that turf.
Yeah, we gotta get.
Tex, let's talk Wade's Army and the ice bath challenge.
Yeah. So we've over the last 2-3 days, I think we're getting close to $800 raised, which is awesome. So I was called out last week by Jared Milkey. He's a CrossFit CIC down in Florida, and I just kind of took the idea and ran with it. I knew they had ice baths at the games, so I was just kind of fingers crossed they were going to have them at the regionals, and took full advantage of it. I snuck back into the athletes pavilion. I don't know, they had a little center off stage that was ice baths, food, and all that crazy stuff, and then I handed a camera to one of Luke Espy's teammates, and I had one take to basically get it all right and dive into a freaking 38-degree ice bath.
So I saw those ice baths, and I didn't even know about this, and I wanted to get in, and then I was thinking, I'm like, they would be so pissed if all of a sudden I'm like, hold these headsets, and I jump in the ice bath. That would have been bad.
Well, you're lucky you don't have to create an ice bath, like go buy 6 bags of ice.
Yeah.
Like you just happen to be near. That $5 could actually go to charity.
Rumor has it I know where a horse trough is.
Do you know where free ice is?
So, Tex, explain the logistics, because I'm sure a few people who are listening or do listen to this are going to be called out, and this is going to spread like wildfire, hopefully. But
yeah, I mean,
like fire and ice.
Fire and ice show.
Exactly. But I mean, you don't even have to wait to be called out. You can go ahead and start your own chain. So we only got 2 rules to keep it simple, and it's once you are called out or once you're initiated, you got 24 hours to dunk yourself fully submerge into an ice bath.
And all of the being called out occurs through Facebook, as it turns out, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to be on Facebook regularly and like to know for 24 hours.
If you come up with a way to get it out on Tinder, Callie, I'm all ears.
It's done. I have my people on it.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you, you don't get the handle balls deep on Tinder for nothing. You got to earn that.
God, this is getting worse. This conversation is over.
Well, the problem is,
continue. What's the second rule? What's the second rule?
we should see the look.
Second rule is don't talk about Fight Club.
That second rule is keep it going. So you're going to challenge.
Second rule is don't talk about it. Don't even let Callie look at me right now. You just feel the laser beams. And I know what you're thinking, and I don't like it.
So text one.
Yeah, we got to keep talking about it. So this is how we kind of spread that awareness for neuroblastoma. So second rule is keep it going. So you got to challenge 3 people, and our goal is $30 a person. So if they dunk, then you pay $30 to their charity that they start, wadesarmy.org. And if they miss the window, they got to pay up to you. So it's up to them if they still want to dunk, still want to challenge, and kind of keep it going. So I strongly suggest calling out 3 people you know are down, you know they're willing. Goodfellow, he called out 3 people. Michelle Sano, CrossFit Albany, she took it and ran with it and got the whole gym. There's now a chain. They're leading a team. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're beating our fundraising team. But she took it and ran with it. He called out another guy from another gym, and the guy basically laughed at it, ignored it, and pretended to be too good for it. So you get kind of that one spark where you get a girl that's already raised $500 in 2 days, and you have somebody else that's just too good for $30 or
who's that guy?
Embarrassed.
Who's that guy?
Some guy in DC. I don't even know.
Don't say his name.
Well, you should call him out.
Talk with them.
I'm probably offline, but it's.
What about Denny eating hot dogs? Like,
I'll do it.
like, could we get like a Italian
I'm in.
Chicago hot dog eating contest?
Yeah. If there's a comparative eating contest,
Jared Allen has invited us to a Chicago Bears game. So maybe we have a combination power
Who's
athlete
us?
event.
You.
We?
Yeah,
we're all going.
Like, is this like when we're saying like we're all going to Germany for Oktoberfest? Oh, Callie, we need you to.
Well, so Callie, when we say we, just Callie's going. But no, Jared, I think that we could have a little power athlete adventure. I mean, Luke, you cool to go to a Bears game?
I'm fine with that. I guess I could.
Good. Denny, you okay with going to a Bears game?
Absolutely.
Only if you wear a mustache and look like Coach Ditka.
Ditka. Sausage. Hold on, I'm having a heart attack right here.
Okay.
Hold on.
So
Remember
Tex,
that shit from Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, super fans.
Chris
So Tex,
Farley?
if people want to call people out, they just post it to Facebook, right? So like if John and I go to his horse trough today and we get in this full-on ice bath, that's how I initiate this, right?
Correct.
Cool, you got it.
Fully submerge yourself in a horse trough, though.
Just get your head deep. That's all we got to do. Get your head underneath. You got to suffer a little bit, and then call 3 people out. Give them 24 hours. And call them up. So,
Deep. I'll get balls deep.
Head deep and balls deep.
All right.
Is there a rule about how much ice is in the apparatus?
One cube.
Apparently,
325
I don't
minutes. How
like
about
getting my vagina cold because everybody kind of called me out on the one bagger, which was a 22-pound bag.
What do you know about a vagina?
Nothing.
I have 4 daughters. I've had to change butts.
true story.
Yeah, he's.
One time,
He changed a lot of diapers.
This
I've
is the
changed
worst
a lot of
podcast.
diapers.
So let's finish up
For the
this.
love of God.
Looks like we
this
just
is-
gotta end this shit.
Well, no, because this is. I mean, we've started a charity in Wade Bird's name, and this is a huge objective for us this year is to raise like $100,000 for this thing. So let's roll with this thing.
All right,
I think it's a great idea.
We're gonna go dunk here in a little bit.
We're gonna bang some weights.
And then, we gotta get some turf. So we're gonna go turf,
Bang, gym, ice.
turf,
All right,
gym, ice.
all right.
And then, so for regulation, let's say 40 to 60 pounds of ice.
Yeah, that's fine.
How's that sound?
Three 20-pounders works.
Tax, you cool with that?
yeah, just get cold and then call somebody out.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Beautiful. All right, what else? What other shameless promotions do we have? We're going to be in We're going to be in Texas. We're launching T-shirts this Friday. Our Power Athlete Pro members, they're going to get a little newsletter here today with discount and early release. And then let's see. That's it. We're rolling now.
Taking over the world.
Yeah.
I'm making a post on Facebook for no one to listen to this episode.
Sounds good. But all right, boys, let's wrap it up there. And then it looks like who's in the hopper, Denny, for guests. We're finalizing Jim Wendler because he's got a busy schedule. Who else, Denny?
We got Dr. Steve. He was kind of on vacation this week, so we're gonna hook up with him next week. And I'm trying to get Rob and Hannah back on our freaking our
Steers.
Yeah, our yacht racers, right? Just to kind of like touch base and see how they how their race went and some, how they felt their training held up or if it did. So we got all that coming up in the next few weeks.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Looking
Sounds
forward
like a
to
plan,
that.
boys.
I'm gonna go. If everything goes well, when we record next time, we're gonna go with Dr. Steve.
All right, sounds good. All right, boys. Well, good show, and we'll catch up with you guys next week.
See you guys.
Later. Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.